Everybody, welcome to today's assembly. This week it's been really exciting at the school because we've been welcoming back the reception children, year 1, year 6, our key worker children, and of course the art children as well. And the school's starting to feel more like a normal school again. That's been really exciting for the staff here. If you're not yet coming to school, we can't wait to welcome you back. I'm sure it won't be long until we're doing that. Today's assembly, I should say Mrs. Babstock again is filming. Thank you, Mrs. Babstock, you did a great job. A question popped up, have you got what it takes? As we go through the assembly, you'll see where that title's come from. But to start with, it might not seem relevant at all. I'll ask you a question. Before we start, I need to look at this script quite a bit today because it's some quite complicated facts in there. But to start with, what can you do in 4 minutes? So have a little think about that. 4 minutes. You could hard-boil an egg, maybe, that would be a good thing to do. You could listen to a song, but I'm not going to sing for you, approximately. You could stand in the queue in a supermarket, although today, with everything that's going on out there in the world, we're probably longer than 4 minutes in supermarket queues, but that'll change soon as well. You could take a shower, get clean when you come home from work or from school, or you could answer a question, a maths question, say you've been set by your teacher, or would take around about the 4-minute mark. So this brings me to the next thing, so keep this 4 minutes in your head. The next thing I was thinking about this week is I was actually out there at playtime a couple of days ago, and I was watching all the children play who come to school in their zones. They've got all these zones out in the field, and I was watching the children play. And then I got particularly interested in watching the year 1 children play, and we started playing games together. And toward the end of the lunchtime play, we organised some races, which was great to see. They had an amazing time running for the finish line. And what really struck me about the year 1 children is they were really helping each other and really encouraging each other to do the best that they could. And it was so lovely to see. No one was crying, everyone was smiling and running. Now I have to say that my organisation wasn't particularly good at the start, and I got them all organised into 3 groups, went over to the finish line, said, right, go! And they all ran at the same time. Total chaos to start with, but they got it in the end. About all this running that they were doing. At the end, when the playtime finished, they all wanted to carry on running, of course, but they had to go back into class. And that got me thinking, because I always start getting thinking when I see things like that, and that got me thinking about a lesson I did way back, probably about 10, 15 years ago, this lesson, and it was about a particular man, a particular athlete. I've got a PowerPoint here for you. And it's about this man here. So have a little look, and although we can't get the feedback we want here, does anybody know who that man is? I'll give you a bit of time to think. You could pause the video, do a little bit of research. Who is that man? Now, anyone got an answer for me? I'm going to pretend you're all here. Anyone got an answer? Yeah, well, what about you over there? That's amazing. You're right, because that person is actually Roger Bannister. And Roger Bannister is famous for lots and lots of things, but this is the first thing he was ever famous for, because Roger Bannister was the first person, the first athlete in the world to run a mile in under 4 minutes. And he did this on the 6th of May 1954. And this amazing picture that's in the archives of athletic history is Roger Bannister just coming through the finish line. They used to have a wire at the top that stopped the clock immediately. They didn't have like lasers and all that kind of technology then. They had a wire that ran across the track. Now, I'm going to tell you the story about how this happened, okay? But this is what he achieved, and it was incredibly important, and still is at the time. Now, 4 minutes is quite a long period of time sometimes. If you're really, really bored, it can really, really drag. Sometimes if you've got something to do really quickly, like run a mile, it isn't enough time whatsoever. So for example, a distance runner, like Roger Bannister, we'll come to his teammates in a minute, was trying to break the record, so he has to keep his speed up. If he doesn't keep that speed up, he's not going to make it. Yeah? And he was an athlete who understood exactly what 4 minutes actually felt like when you're putting your body through the stresses and strains of trying to beat a world record. Now, for people and athletes in this time, so around the 1950s, it was a target that totally obsessed the athletic world. Who can run a 4-minute mile or less than a 4-minute mile? And people were trying. What it is 4 laps of an athletics track. Basically, you've got to run around it 4 times in less than 4 minutes. So you can see that you've got to do each lap in less than a minute. Massive target to reach. Now, during the Second World War, some Swedish athletes called Gude Haag and Arne Andersson, hope I said that right, started to chip away at this record. Now, they brought the time down to 4 minutes, 6.4 seconds. So close, couldn't get there. They then brought it down to training. They brought it down then to 4 minutes, 1.4 seconds. You can see how close these people were in Sweden. But they couldn't break that magic 4-minute mark. They couldn't do it. Roger Bannister was also totally obsessed with doing this. Yeah? So for 9 years, nobody could do it. Everyone was trying for 9 full years to actually get this target and this record beaten, but they couldn't do it. Everyone thought it was a psychological barrier in athletes' heads. They'd never be able to break through that wall of 4 minutes. People thought, it can't be done. Now, all the time, when people were saying it can't be done, Roger, and we'll get to his teammates in a minute, as I've said, were thinking it could be done. Okay? So, what they did, I'll show you the team. Okay, this is the team. This is actually taken after the world record was broken. And we can see Bannister needed a team to give him the best chance of doing what people thought was impossible. People thought it was impossible. Now, Roger's in the middle, and his 2 teammates will come to in a minute at either side of him. Without this team working together, a bit like year 1 working together, I watched them at lunchtime, he could not have achieved what he did. Okay? Not a chance. I love this, and we've got there 44, 41, 42 numbers on there. Okay. So the team was, you've got Chris Chataway is over here on the right hand side, that's Chris Chataway. You've got Chris Brasher is over here with the glasses on this side, and Roger Bannister was in the middle. And you can see how happy they are to have done the task and actually beaten the 4-minute mile record. Just a little aside, Chris Brasher, this gentleman here, went on to do enormous amount of work with outdoor education for children, and he also invented one of the world's most famous walking boots, the Brasher boot, which I've actually got a pair at home. Some parents might have heard of them as well. Incredibly comfortable hill walking boots. So all these people, amazing, absolutely incredible. So that's that slide. So what I want to do is talk you through what actually happened on the day. Okay, let's find out where we are. Yeah. So, what happened is this. Before the race even happened, Roger and his team had decided that the race wasn't going to happen. And the reason for that was this. The race couldn't go ahead, sorry, I'm stumbling over. The race couldn't go ahead because basically out there it was too windy. It was a day a bit like today. A really, really windy day. The track was soaking wet from rain the day before. And in those days it was a cinder track. So it soaked the water in and made it heavy going for the runners. So basically, Chris and Roger decided, we're not going to try the record today, it's not going to happen. So they decided that they would go for a lovely lunch. So what they did, they went down to the local restaurant very near the track in Oxford. It's called the Ilfrey track in Oxford. And they basically sat down and had a massive slap-up lunch. The wind was still howling, the track was still wet, let's go and have lunch. They also had a couple of glasses of wine with lunch as well. And they were sat there after a lovely meal. Not the best training, I think you'd agree, for maybe athletes. Certainly wouldn't happen today. But they sat there, they were talking, they were looking out of the window. And what they could see is the church tower that was near the racetrack where the athletics meeting was happening. And they'd been watching the flag, fluttering madly in the wind, all the way through lunch. And they were looking at it, they finished that lunch, finished their couple of glasses of red wine, and the flag dropped. The weather had changed. The race was on. So even though they just had a massive lunch, they sprung up and raced down to the track to start. So what I want to do now just come away from this. It will show you where to find the videos of the actual event. Okay, so Mrs. Babstock, please keep on the screen. I'll just come out the PowerPoint for now, and then I'm going to go on to the YouTube page. So if you want to find the videos for this, which really helps you understand what happened, we've got home, playlist, channel, and when you get to a tab called discussion, if you click on discussion there, you'll see at the top it says links to Roger Bannister videos, read more. So click on read more, and then you will get the link. Okay, the top link is a shorter video which allows you to watch actually what happened, which we're going to watch together now. Mrs. Babstock's all right to hold that length of time, it's only 2 minutes. And the one at the bottom is actually showing the whole race there. So watch that video as well from the Head Teacher YouTube site. Let's go back onto our... So there's the start. Now what was really important about the teamwork, are you okay there, Mrs. Babstock?
I'm good.
Yeah, okay, great. Is that you can see we've got Chris Cataway, Chris Braysher there, and in the middle of the 41 was Roger Bannister. So these guys, Chris and Chris, their job was to run in front of Roger to keep him going. And then when they ran out of energy, the other one took over, pulling him on, because he was the best runner, he had the, the best style, etc. But they were willing to help him achieve the target. And just imagine that level of friendship that you need to have to get somebody to achieve the impossible. Friends pulling you along like that, incredibly important in life. You got to believe that you can do it, but without the friendship there, it wouldn't happen. What's also important is Chris Braysher and Chris Chataway. They weren't jealous or spiteful that they hadn't actually achieved it, but their friend Roger Bannister achieved the 4 minute mile. What an amazing attitude to have, and that's why I thought we'd share this story with you today. If we move on, there is the links that you'll find on the YouTube site. Okay, and this is what I want to think about as well today. Without our friendships, so without each other, we're not whole. So we always need to have our friends and our colleagues around us. Together we can try and achieve what seems to be impossible. That's a really good thought for today's assembly, that without each other we're not whole. Okay, so maybe think about that for a while. And also the amazing attitude of Roger's 2 friends as well, who kept him going through that race. Right? An amazing achievement. Now, athletics always moves on. So always moves forward. People are always trying to beat world records, and it's one of the great things about athletics. What really inspires me. Records are always getting broken by men and women. They really push their performance levels as much as they possibly can, and then the next generation of men and women come along and push those standards further and further up. And it always makes me think, are we ever going to get to a point where people just can't run any faster? And it's a really interesting point, because sometimes it's tiny fractions of seconds which make a world record. Today's story just concludes with the next person I want to talk about. Just briefly, I'd love to talk about this person as well, but we haven't got the time. Maybe next time we can do an assembly. This is the current record holder of the mile. Okay, Hicham El Garouj from Morocco, so he's a Moroccan runner. And he set this record in 1999 with the amazing time of 3 minutes and 43 seconds. So he's shaving the seconds off each time. And he ran, I'm not too sure how long he ran for, but he ran for a long time for Morocco, and he also broke many world records. Maybe you could do a little bit of research about Hicham there. He's an incredible runner, incredibly inspirational person. Now I could speak a long time, Hotspur, about athletes that inspire me personally. I find that sport is one of the biggest things in life to provide inspiration. But what I think I'll do, we'll finish this assembly with the slide that we've got there with that quote that I found. I didn't say it, somebody else did. I'll try and find out who did. But without each other, we are not whole. Together we can try and achieve the impossible. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. So until next week, Hotspur, stay well, stay safe. I'm really looking forward to, if we can, invite more people back to school then we will. As long as the government lets us, we'll do it. Okay? But stay well and see you next week. Bye.